Okay, so today we're going to talk about the first section of IGCSE economics, which is the nature of the basic economics problem. Now, before we dive into the topic, we have to know what is even economics and why are we even studying it, right? So, economics is the study of the distribution, consumption, and production of goods and services. Now, you don't need to memorize this, but you need to keep this in mind. So, basically, everything that has to do with these goods and services, this is called economics. For what are goods and services? For example, the houses, cars, these are goods and services. So anything you can think about relating to goods and services, that is economics. Now we introduce a key concept that's called wants. Now wants means the desire for goods and services. Now, what wants? To put it simply, for example, houses, mansions, sport cars, every one of these are called wants. People want objects, pole dancers, right? Pole dancers, these are considered as wants. Everything of these are considered as people's wants. So you can just understand it literally. And then there's this thing called resources. You don't need to memorize the definition here. We are just introducing it for you to better understand. But just think about it as things used to produce goods and services. For example, machines, these are resources, or workers are resources used to produce goods and services. And now is the key of this chapter. What is the basic economics problem? Now, there are two main concepts, two main ideas to introduce this concept. The first one is that human wants are unlimited. So what does this mean? This means that people's desire for these houses, people want for better cars, people's wants, there's no limit to it. We will always want more. There is no end to the amount of things that we will desire. And the second one is that resources are actually limited. There is a limited amount of such things we use to produce these cars and these goods and services. These are limited. Therefore, because of these conditions, this will result in the amount of desires we have exceeding the amount of available resources. So what will this result in? This will result in the amount of goods and services that we can produce, for example, the amount of houses we can produce, cannot satisfy how much houses that we want because our want for houses are unlimited, but we can only produce a limited amount of houses. So because it is exceeded, we need to make choices. So these three questions are the basic economics problem. The first one is, how do we use the resources? If we use the resources effectively and efficiently, we can increase the output, right? We can make more. We can make more of these cars and houses. What to use the resources on? So, do I want to use these resources to produce more houses, more land, more food? What do I want to produce? What to produce? And the third one is for whom to produce, right? So, do I want to use it to produce for the rich people? Do I want to use the resources to produce for the poor people, for the old people, for the young people? Who do I want to use the resources for? So these three are the basic economics problem. And the reason there are these three problems is because human wants are unlimited, but resources are limited. Therefore, these human wants exceed the amount of resources that we have. So we need to make choices on how, what, and for whom to use the resources. And then we introduce a key concept called scarcity. Now, scarcity means the condition where there is not enough to satisfy everyone's wants. Now, this sounds very similar to the basic economics problem because they're basically the same thing. So, there's not enough means not enough resources, right? And then to satisfy everyone's wants because they're unlimited wants. So you can think about scarcity as the condition that results in the basic economics problem. And scarcity cannot be solved. There's no solution to scarcity as of now. And then we introduce this thing called goods. We can separate goods into two types of goods. The first one is this thing called free goods. Now, um, free goods are just goods that do not require any resources to produce. So, for example, look at this sunshine. Sunshine does not require any resources to produce. Therefore, it is a free good. For example, the sea wind, right? The sea wind, if you're on the beach and the wind blowing by, these are free. You don't need any resources to produce this wind. Therefore, that is a free good. Economic goods are goods that require resources to produce. For example, this car right here requires metals, tires or lights. It needs resources to produce. Therefore, it is an economic good. For example, the wind blowing from an air conditioner, that is a economic good because we need resources to produce this air conditioner. All right, that will end section 1. Let's look at some practice problems. So first, why do consumers have to make choices when spending their income? Now, we already talked about this. So have to make choices because we have unlimited wants, but we only have a limited amount of resources. In this case, this income represents the resources we have, right? So the answer should be C, because not all of the consumers' wants can be satisfied with their income because they have unlimited wants but limited income. So let's see. All right, the second one, what causes economic agents to make choices? It's the same idea as before. Because there are unlimited wants and there are limited resources, we need to make choices. And the first one, limited needs and wants. So we know that wants are unlimited, right? So this is wrong. Existence of finite resources. That is correct because we know that there are limited resources but unlimited wants, therefore we have to make choices. So the answer is B.